Good afternoon. How is everybody doing? For those who, for those of you who may not know me, my name is Renarda Joy. Sorry, my microphone. For those of you who may not know me, my name is Renarda Joy, and for the next days, I have committed to giving you tools, tips, and insight for those of you who are new to real estate investing. Now, my mission is to shrink the intergenerational wealth gap through real estate investing, and I have been using this platform to sound the alarm. Now, if you're just joining us, we are on day 22. Yes, day 22. And I want to personally invite you to go back and listen to some of those previous conversations. And if you've gotten any value or if you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments. Now, for those of you who are here, I want to know who's here, what's your name, and what value have you gotten? Hey, Rosalind from Brooklyn, how you doing? Now, the last couple of days, we've been talking about fix and flip in the checklist, right? I've gone through quite a few things that you guys needed to know as far as fix and flip. Today, I just want to go over a small recap, but really point out the pitfalls. Okay, so the first thing, you guys already know what I'm going to say. The first thing that you have to make sure you do is due diligence. I cannot express this enough. Yes, Rosalind, day 22. I hope you've been getting a lot of value out of this. But yes, do your due diligence. Make sure you study the market, right? Maybe that means you have to go down, take a trip to your city hall, figure out what the plans are for the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Is there going to be new infrastructure? Are they opening up the highways? Just figure out if there's any type of activities that they're expected in the area, right? Drive around, get a feel for what's going on in the area. I know you're not going to live there. Remember, your buying strategy is fix and flip, but still, you need to make sure that it's going to be a great neighborhood that you can sell your property. Your end buyer, let's say the next door neighbor, they're doing parties during the day and at night, or it's a backyard mechanic with a yard full of cars. Your end buyer may not find that attractive. I mean, you may find a buyer, but it could take longer. My point is, those are some of the things that you need to take a look at when you're studying your market, right? Know your numbers. The second thing is, okay, I get this. If you guys are anything like me, math is just not our thing. But guess what? Now is not the time for you to play multiple choice and guess. You have to know your finances. If you're getting this funded, say through your credit union or a hard money lender, make sure you understand the terms, right? We talked about it yesterday. Typically, when you're getting a deal funded for fix and flip, it's a shorter loan period, right? But it has a much higher interest rate. So you need to find out, is there a prepayment penalty? Find out all of the ins and outs of the loan. You want to find out what you're getting yourself into. Also, when you're dealing with finances, understand you're going to be paying a lot of different people, your vendors, maybe your project manager or your bookkeeper. You need to make sure that you're very clear with who's getting paid and at what point. You never want to pay the contractor up front. You pay them in pieces and draws, like maybe when they're done 20% of the job, and you and the contractor determine what 20% looks like. That's just an example. You just need to make sure you understand the scope of work, who's getting paid, even your project manager, at what point do they get paid? Just because, and if you do decide to go with a project manager and a bookkeeper, I said this yesterday, doesn't mean you hand off the job, right? You still have to stay in the loop because you're still on the hook. You need to make sure that you're involved. Remember, at the end of the day, you didn't buy a job. You got this project to make a profit. So you need to make sure that everything stays on track. You're looking at the scope of work and matching it against the time frame so that you can finish on time. The next thing is never over leverage yourself. What do I mean by that? Never borrow more than what you need. A lot of hard money lenders, they will lend you more than what you need, even if you don't ask for it. But that doesn't mean you have to accept it. Remember, they're getting a higher interest rate. So why wouldn't they want to give you more money? I've seen so many projects, they get stalled because they've taken the money. Now they spent it. Now they don't have enough to pay for the project because they've overspent, or maybe they didn't pull the permits, or maybe the contractors have gotten scarce. Again, don't over leverage yourself. We talked about insurance. Insurance is a big deal. I shared with you there was a set of properties that I was managing, And when we went to do our regular check on the property, I guess I was acting as project manager. And when we went to go check on the property, the copper was stolen, the cabinets were stolen, the carpet was stolen. I mean, if the house could have gotten stolen, they probably would have taken that as well. But again, we had insurance, so we were able to file a claim. But again, we had some set aside, just never know funds so that we can keep going. And we just got the reimbursement later on. So again, it's important to have insurance. I remember my very own personal first fix and flip. Somebody came, probably some kids in the neighborhood, and broke every window, all 22. So yes, I didn't have a lot of set aside just in case funds. So I literally had to wait for an insurance claim to go through. And luckily they moved it pretty fast. So my project didn't get delayed, because again, the longer your project is delayed, the more you're eating into your profit. I can't express that enough. The next thing is, don't do unnecessary improvements. Remember, this isn't your dream house. You're not going to be living in it. Sure, you want to make it comfortable. You don't want to get the cheapest things. But today, there's so many different options to get great price point of products for your home that you don't have to spend a lot, right? You just want to make sure that it's in a sellable, marketable situation, the items that you're picking for the house, as far as cabinetry and the flooring and things of that nature. But again, don't try and get the highest point things. Think about the end buyer. Think about their price points, because the higher you spend for the items in the house, well, then the higher your price points should be for the house. And that might outprice some of your buyers. That's something that you have to figure out when you're doing your due diligence. And I'll tell you one other secret. Stay out of Home Depot and Lowe's after you've worked with your contractor and figured out, exactly what you're going to do with the house, how much you're going to spend, because the more and more you go to those stores, they will tickle your eyes and you will want to do so many different things. So don't make that rookie mistake. I can tell you that. The next thing is, I want to make sure I share with you guys, because I don't think I told you about the formula that most seasoned investors use with this fix and flip strategy. It's called the 70% rule. How that works is you take the ARV, which is the after repair value, multiply that by 70%, subtract out your repairs, and that equals the maximum allowed offer. I'll give you an example. Let's say the after repair value is $350,000 times 70%. And we're going to subtract out $50,000 for repairs. That leaves you $195,000. That's the most, or the MAO, which stands for the maximum allowed offer. You hear acronyms all the time, but that's the most that you can pay for a property. I just want to make sure I go over that with you guys. If you have any questions or if you need clarification, please leave it in the comments and I will come back in and give you clarity. The last thing is your exit strategy. We talked about it yesterday. Are you going to FSBO, for sale by owner, or are you going to get an agent? Remember, an agent can streamline the process for you. They can go through the paperwork, they can schedule the appointments, and all they will do is present to you the offers. Again, you don't have to accept the first offer. You can go through a few offers. You want the best offer for you. Is it the right price point? What about the time frame? Did they show you proof of funds, right? Did they give you a pre-approval letter? Again, I can't reiterate this again. The longer you hold on to a project, the less profit you make. So don't go off of a verbal from a buyer and they've given you an offer. Now they got to go back and backpedal and get pre-approved. That can take a process, and that process may not go along with your timeline. We also talked about staging a property. Depending on the market, some markets staging won't be necessary. Some markets it will. So just keep that in mind. You have to know your market. The last thing is make sure, well, not the last thing, but the other thing that I want to add is make sure you take professional pictures. Don't put blurry pictures online. Pictures sell things. So make sure you're taking the best, highest quality pictures that you can take. Understand your price points, and you should be good to go. So I hope that this has been helpful. I hope that you've gotten value. If you need clarification or if you have a question, if there's anything that I haven't talked about as we're winding down our 30 days and you want me to talk about it, leave it in the comments. I promise I will try my best to talk about it in the 30 days or even beyond the 30 days. But for now, if there's anything that you want me to talk about, please let me know. Now, if you're watching this outside of my Facebook business page, I invite you to come back and join me at renardajoylive.com. That's renardajoylive.com. Now, understand, I don't want you to join for the likes. I want you to join so that you can help me change the narrative, invite somebody else, introduce this information to a younger person, right? So that we can help change the narrative, the trajectory of the next generation. So, again, if you're just joining us, we just wrapped up day 22. I want to invite you to listen to this conversation and any of our other previous conversations that you may have missed. And if you've gotten any value or if you have any questions, please feel free to leave it in the comments. I will see you guys tomorrow, same time, 6 p.m. EST. Have a good night.